Hi, this is William from Great Affordable Watches, and today I'm gonna review the Spinnaker Bradner. And as always, let's start off with the specifications first. The case size is 42 millimeters in diameter, the lug width is 20 millimeters, the lug-to-lug length is 50 millimeters. It is water resistant down to 15 ATM or 150 meters. It got a sapphire crystal and the Seiko NH35 movement. This watch retails for $285 but I have actually a code that gets you 20% off your purchase when you buy this watch or any other watch over on Spinnaker's website. This watch is a super compressor looking diver. While this is not a true super compressor, because a super compressor uses a type of case design that gets more water resistant the deeper you go. And basically, the higher the pressure, the higher the water resistance. So this is just a diver that takes inspiration from the old super compressor watches. Those watches usually came with the two crowns, one at 4 and one at 2 o'clock. One of the crowns you set the time and wind it with, if it got manual winding of course, and the other crown you set the bezel, the inner bezel. And this is very typical and very famous for a super compressor looking diver. This crown is a screw down crown, while this is not a screw down crown. So the optimal thing should be that both crowns are of course screwed down, because if you set the bezel and you, for example, are swimming or diving, it is a risk that you turn this bezel, and that of course compromises the water resistance. But nonetheless, the screwing action on the crown at 4 o'clock is very smooth, very easy to screw it in. And I must say the dial on this watch is a real highlight of it, and it's very clean, very simple and very minimalistic. And Spinnaker usually do some pretty busy dials, but this one is really clean, really simple. It got a dark gray or black dial with a dark inner bezel with some vintage looking lume. The hands is also pretty interesting. It got a Chevy looking hour hand, lollipop second hand, and a straight minutes hand. The lollipop second hand got a splash of red, and together with the red text here on the dial, I think it looks gorgeous. And I'm a big fan of this kind of vintage inspired divers, but some may think the vintage lume, and especially this type of yellow vintage looking lume, is a bit too much. But nonetheless, I think the dial on this one is really clean, and it sure looks like a old super compressor. The case is also brushed, and it's a thickness of 14 millimeters, so it's a pretty thick watch. And we can see that the top of the lugs have a finer brushing pattern, while the sides have a vertical, pretty rugged look. I think this looks pretty nice, very industrial looking, and it suits the vintage look of the watch pretty nicely. If you have seen my review of the Spinnaker Croft, a previous watch from Spinnaker, you can see that that watch have a really nice chamfer here on the lugs. Unfortunately, this watch doesn't have that, so I would say this one is a step down when it comes to the case finishing, but the dial is the highlight here. And I must say the brushing in itself is pretty nicely done. It is pretty clean, very nicely executed, but it would be very nice to have a nice chamfer. because I think that adds to the overall look when you have a brushed surface here, and a nice polished bevel or chamfer. The case back is also pretty clean, pretty simple as usual on Spinnaker watches. It got the see-through case back with a custom Spinnaker logo. The Seiko NH35 is a very industrial looking movement, and it fits pretty nicely together with the very industrial looking case. So I must say I am pretty satisfied with this watch overall. I think it looks really nice. The quality and the finishing are pretty solid overall. As I said, I would prefer some more work on the case, but the dial is a clear step up from Spinnaker's previous watches. And with every watch they release, I think they are taking one step in the right direction. And of course, I will do a wrist shot, so be right back. Okay, here it is. And as we can see, I think it wears quite nicely on my 7-inch wrist. It's a pretty big watch, and this is probably my biggest gripe with it. And because this watch is very vintage inspired, very vintage looking, I think the case size is a bit too big for what it is. This watch should have been 39 millimeters instead. I think that size would complement the vintage look much better. And I'm sure a lot of people would appreciate this kind of vintage looking watch in a smaller case size. But I think in general, if you're looking for a vintage inspired diver under $300, I think this is a great choice if you can handle the size and you want a bigger diving watch. But as sizes are going down, I think they should add a 39 millimeter option as well. Okay, let me know what you guys think of this watch down in the description. Do you like the look of it? Do you like the size? Would you actually prefer a smaller size of this diver? Yeah, just let me know what you think of this watch down in the comment section. If you like this video, please leave a like, and if you're not already subscribing to my channel, please do that and push that famous bell button. Okay, thanks for watching, and I hope I see you in the next one.